Okay, so now we're going to go in here. We're going to mark our 1.5 inch straight lines. There we go. So we have that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead. We're going to quilt this. I have not quilted this yet. I have ditched here. And I will ditch this when we roll again. Okay, so now I'm going to travel this ditch. We're going to go ahead and do our straight line work in the drum fabric. Back. Touch. Go back. Travel the ditch. I need to put my glasses on. Down, touch, come back, travel the ditch, down, come down, quilt my cornerstone, okay, so we have finished down the quilt. I have done all of the borders, side borders. I have not done the panel yet. That'll be next and last. What I'm going to do is I've done the bottom border and the top border, which is actually the sides because of the way that I've loaded the quilt. So now we're going to do the side borders here. I'm going to start, I've rolled back to the middle. This is the center of the quilt. I'm going to do 3 circles, and then I'm going to do one of the smaller circles. And then of course I'm going to overlap these 2 on each side, put my little circle in the middle of this middle one, and then that's going to be less amount than is on the what we quilted on the top of the quilt. But that's how I want the sides to be, just a little bit different. And then we're going to work our way down and then up to those circles with our piano keys. So let's go ahead, let's get started with that. Okay, so now we're going to bring our machine over. I've got my circle in place, pick up our thread, come on, there we go. Lock our stitches, hold our ruler in place. We're going to go around 1, reposition my hand, come back down to the side. I go right to this center line, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to do one more of these. And on this one, since we're going around 1 full circumference to the beginning, just like before, we go 1.5, If it were a contrasting thread and fabric, I would go 2.5. That way it would make the thickness on both sides of the thread even. So now what I'm going to do is go one more circle, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to remove a few of these basting stitches. And that is why we use 5 stitches per inch rather than our 12. It just makes it very easy to get rid of those basting stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to come here, hold that in place. 1, shift, and a half, come down here. Now, what I'm going to do to save myself a little bit of time, I know that in the middle, between these two circles, I am going to line up an overlapping circle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this circle back in place. First, I want to eyeball. I'm simply going to put this ruler here in place, and I'm going to see that right about here is where I need to stop. So I will use this ruler to travel back around, I'm where I think I need to be. Now I will line up. Let's see. So there I am back in the center of that. Now I can go ahead, save myself a little time, do my crossover, and not have to come back and do that. Now I can move this back over, line that up, and I'm going to travel that down. I'm going to leave my needle down, and I'm going to roll the quilt, and then I'm going to grab my last small circle to do that section. Now, because I'm going to be doing the small circle here, what I'm going to do is another time saver. I am going to go ahead, because I noticed that when I did the other border, I'm going to do a straight line between these. So I'm going to stop there, down, up where the sizes are separated. I found that that gave it a really cool look, as you saw earlier when we did the low light at the top of the quilt when we did this border. And I'm also going to remove my basting stitches. There we go. Line that up. I don't need to worry about shifting my side clamps because I have them in a position that I knew I was going to roll one full time. So I'm just going to simply roll the quilt. Up, up, right to there. That's good. Okay, I'm going to tighten that. My clamps are still good. Check my backing. I'm having one hand on top and then I'm putting one hand underneath. You can see I'm making sure that there isn't any sort of distortion under there. And I'm also going to look under. I just looked under. Everything looks good. I know I need I am going to go ahead and do my little 2.5-inch line right there just to kind of make sure that everything is copacetic. Line that up. Come around. Okay, that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to stop there for a second, grab my small measuring ruler that I'm using. I'm doing 1.5 inch piano keys. You can see I've started from the edge and worked my way up. I am going to go ahead, line that up, mark, and I also, just like we did at the top, I'm just going to go into that first one right up to the circle. Okay, so follow my piano key there, come down the side. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do up to the circle, come back, come down, up, slide, up. This is something you'll get into the rhythm when you start doing these types of borders, a little more fancy like this. Okay, lock my stitches. I'm good there. I am not going to put um, an overlap in there, obviously, because I only have a single small. What I have decided to do with that, though, is I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, get my bobbin. Yep. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab an inner circle. Okay, so I've darkened this in that little circle. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to recenter this in there, give myself a few registration marks. The reason I want to do that is so now I can mark a center through that circle so that now when I slide in with my puzzle piece, I can line that up. So I'm lining up this and this. There we go. Line up my crosshairs. I've got that good. Grab my little thread there. I should have grabbed before I closed it. Pull up my bobbin. Again, this is another reason I love these Karen K. Buckleys. These are amazing. They have such a nice tip on them. And yet they're not dangerous for my quilt like some of the other stuff I've used. Okay, so now I'm going to lock that. Come around. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to snip my tail. Okay, I'm going to go around there a couple times, lock my stitches, up. I'm going to roll back. I'm going to put that same little circle right in the middle and of the center one that we just did, and then I'm going to head up doing the exact same thing. Okay, so I've rolled up now. And what I'm going to do is I've got my ruler in place. I've got that centered. I'm going to go ahead, lock my stitches, come around, put my small circle in the middle there. Good to go there. And now I'll remove that. So now we have our small circle inside our middle circle, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm simply going to work my way up exactly how we did working our way down. Okay, so now before I go any further and I start my circles up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, so I don't forget it, I'm going to put my line, get my chalk out there. Line there. Keep that straight. Line there. And so that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch those two. Lock my stitches. Up. Back. Travel the ditch. Up. Halfway back, and now I'm right at the point that I need to be to continue on with my circles. Okay, so now before we start our circles, I'm going to line up. I'm going to find my 2.5 inch. 1, 2.5 right on that seam because we have a 5-inch wide. I'm going to back it off a little bit just to take into account the thickness of my chalk. Put my line there so that I don't get lost. Now I'm going to grab my circle, put that in place. One. And a half. Line it up. 2. And a half, except I'm not going to go to the halfway mark. What I want to do now is, with these two circles, I need to do that overlap right in the center. So I'm going to line this up so that the line here goes right between both of those. I'm not going to take the time to chalk. You will get used to doing this eventually, and you won't need to do that either. And then line that up there. I'm going to come right up to the circle, come around. Come back. I'm going to follow that ditch around to there. Stop needle down. I'm going to roll, roll, and then what I'm going to do is do my small guy. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead, save myself a little time, line up my ditcher because we do a single piano key right there just to separate the sizes for visual effect.